Okay, let's get into this. Our sources for today point to this really fascinating convergence that's coming up.
They really do.
We're going to be diving deep into a ritual that is, it's ancient, it's practiced all over the world, but it all comes down to one single tiny ingredient.
A humble sesame seed.
Exactly. We're talking about the observance of Shattila Ekadashi. And it's this meeting point for, profound spiritual discipline, incredibly complex logistics, and a really powerful lesson about compassion.
It's a phenomenal topic for a deep dive. You've got what you could call micro-ritualism, this very personal act, set against this huge macro backdrop of massive organizational planning.
In a timeless moral philosophy.
Right. So our mission here is really twofold. First, we're going to trace the journey of this seed, the sesame, or till as it's known, and look at the 6 specific ways it's used for spiritual cleansing.
And the second part.
Second, we have to connect this really intimate, private ritual to the colossal public event that is the Prayagraj Magh Mela,
where millions of people will be gathering for this exact Ekadashi in January of 2026.
Millions upon millions.
And it's amazing. We have sources covering everything. There's astronomical precision that dictates the perfect time to fast. There are mythological epics that explain where the ritual even comes from. And then there's the modern physiological science that actually seems to validate the whole process of cleansing.
And on top of all that, the sheer logistical nightmare of managing what is basically a temporary city of 150 million people.
All for this dedication to Lord Vishnu.
And it's all happening during the Hindu month of Magha, which is this really auspicious period, traditionally revered for purification, for penance, and for pilgrimage. So this deep dive is going to show you Shattila Ekadashi is so much more than just skipping a meal. It's a meticulously structured system for balancing your inward discipline with outward charity.
Okay, so let's start by grounding ourselves in the calendar, because with a fast like this, timing is, well, it's everything.
It is absolutely critical to maximizing the spiritual merit.
And the main event we're focusing on is Sat-Tila Ekadashi. And our sources really highlight this powerful convergence happening.
That convergence is the key. It's what gives this particular fast such heightened significance. So Shatila Ekadashi will be observed on Wednesday, January 14th, 2026.
Okay.
But what really amplifies the benefits of that day is that it coincides directly with the major solar festival of Makar Sankranti.
So you have 2 huge spiritual events hitting on the exact same day. What does that actually mean for someone who's performing the ritual?
Well, it means the spiritual returns are, they're exponentially increased. Makar Sankranti is the day the sun transitions into the zodiac sign of Capricorn, or Makara.
Right, which marks the end of winter.
Exactly, the end of winter and the start of a period that's considered highly auspicious for good deeds. So when Shatila Ekadashi, which is fundamentally about charity, happens on Sankranti, the merit you gain from acts like donation or dukhanan is considered akshaya.
Akshaya. That term, what's the direct translation for that?
It means imperishable or everlasting. So in spiritual terms, it means the merit you earn from fasting and from charity on that day, it doesn't diminish, it doesn't decay over time. It's like a permanent positive credit in your karmic ledger.
Wow.
So this convergence, you can imagine, it motivates the absolute maximum participation and sincerity because the stakes for getting those lasting spiritual benefits are incredibly high.
And for anyone observing, precision is key.
Yeah.
Right down to the minute. We have the specific Tithi calculations for the fast.
We do. The Ekadashi Tithi, that's the 11th lunar day. It actually begins the day before, on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026.
Where?
At 3:17 p.m., to be precise. And it continues and then concludes on the 14th at 5:52 p.m. And those timings are based on the local calculation for New Delhi.
So because most of that lunar day overlaps with the sunrise on the 14th, that becomes the day of observance?
That's the one. That's the established day for the fast and all the rituals that go with it.
Now, January 2026 is clearly a very intense month, spiritually. We're not even done with Ekadashis. There's a second one later in the month that has a completely different focus.
Correct. The Hindu calendar is lunar-based, so it ensures we have 2 every month. And the second one in the month of Magha is Jaya Ekadashi. It falls on Thursday, January 29th.
And its focus is different from Shattila.
Completely. While Shattila is all about cleansing sin through charity, Jaya Ekadashi is explicitly concerned with protection and spiritual advancement.
The name itself, Jaya, that means victory, right? Which suggests a more protective focus.
Absolutely. It's renowned for granting victory over obstacles, both physical and spiritual. The mythological tradition says that observing the Jaya Ekadashi fast specifically protects you from being reborn in lower or unfortunate realms.
What kind of realms are we talking about?
Well, the sources use terms like Pashacha Yoni or Priti Yoni,
Which translate to?
essentially becoming ghosts or spirits that are bound to earthly suffering because of unresolved karma.
So the spiritual menu for January 2026 is pretty comprehensive. First, you get this huge opportunity for cleansing and merit building with charity on Shattila. And then it's followed by this powerful protective shield against negative rebirth later in the month with Jaya.
It really shows the holistic nature of the calendar. You know, the bi-monthly fasts, they're not just interchangeable, they're tailored prescriptions for very different spiritual and karmic needs.
And this leads perfectly into a really detailed, practical daily advice that's embedded in the astrological snapshot for this period. The Hindu almanac, the Panchang, it doesn't just list festival dates.
No, not at all. It offers this continuous daily guidance based on the positions of the planets. It illustrates how this cosmic calendar is interwoven with deeply personal advice, financial, health, professional, all part of the spiritual schedule. It's a constant flow of influence that devotees look to for navigation.
I thought the specific forecasts for the zodiac signs were fascinating. They're so detailed and varied. Let's take the Makara sign, Capricorn, which is relevant since we're talking about Makara Sankranti. The sources are predicting a very positive outcome. New sources of income developing, and specifically that the health of women in the native's life is expected to be excellent.
That's a powerful forecast. It speaks to a period of real stability and financial growth for people under the Makara sign. But if we just shift the lens a little bit to the Kumbha sign, Aquarius, the picture gets a lot more complex. It really highlights the duality of destiny.
Abso.
Well, Kumbha natives are predicted to see significant profits from online business ventures, which is a very modern specific forecast, isn't it?
It is.
But at the same time, they might face considerable problems at work, and the source says these problems will come from hidden enemies.
So the guidance isn't just a blanket good or bad.
No, it's a mix of opportunity and challenge that really requires your careful attention. You've got to capitalize on the new income, but you also have to be vigilant against these internal conflicts.
And then there's the Danu sign, Sagittarius. The guidance there is really specific about balancing old burdens with new opportunities. The source mentions a definite pressure to repay old debts.
Yes, a very clear financial obligation is highlighted. But to balance that pressure out, the source also suggests that the person is likely to get favorable profits from property dealings. And what's more, the forecast acts as a kind of spiritual prompt, encouraging the individual to actively go out and learn something new.
A call to intellectual and financial growth, even with that pressure.
Exactly. I think this constant sign-specific guidance is key to understanding the holistic approach. They aren't just told when to fast. They're given a whole context of planetary influences against which their spiritual efforts are going to be judged.
It informs not just the big rituals, like the Shattila fast, but all the small daily decisions about caution and investment and personal growth.
Precisely. The underlying principle is one of aligning and bringing your professional life, your financial life, and your spiritual focus all into harmony with the cosmic flow. It sets a very clear, highly contextualized stage for January 14th, 2026.
Okay, we've set the scene with the calendar, but let's zoom in on the foundational spiritual idea here, Ekadashi itself. For listeners who might know the term but not the depth of it, what exactly is it, and what's this dramatic origin story that gives it so much power?
Ekadashi is absolutely foundational to the lunar calendar. As we mentioned, it's the 11th lunar day, the Tithi, and it happens twice a month. Once in the waxing phase, the Shukla Paksha, when the moon is growing.
And once in the waning phase.
Right, the Krishna Paksha, when the moon is receding. And the dedication is key here. Every single Ekadashi is dedicated entirely to Lord Vishnu, preserver of the cosmos.
And the power of the fast comes directly from this dramatic mythological battle. It's described in the Padma Purana, and it involves Vishnu strategically retreating from a fight.
It is a phenomenal origin story. The narrative starts when this colossal, incredibly powerful demon known as Mura, or sometimes Muranav, manages to defeat all the gods. He claims the heavens, and the whole universe is plunged into chaos.
So the gods, powerless, they appeal to Vishnu.
They do. Vishnu engages Mura in a battle that lasts for an astonishing 1,000 celestial years.
1,000 years of continuous battle. That really emphasizes the power of this demon. So how does Vishnu break the stalemate?
He uses a spiritual strategy. He doesn't overpower him physically. Instead, Vishnu strategically retreats to a deep, dark cave in the Himalayas called Simhavati, and he enters a state of deep, powerful meditative sleep.
Which is known as Yog Nidra.
Exactly. And this isn't just regular sleep, it's a conscious, divine rest that's used to recalibrate cosmic energy and spiritual Shakti.
And Mira, seeing the great Lord seemingly vulnerable in sleep, he prepares to strike.
He does. Mira approaches with his sword raised, thinking he's finally defeated his eternal rival. But just as he's about to deliver the fatal blow, this magnificent, luminous, and formidably armed woman spontaneously emerges from within Vishnu's very being.
From where exactly?
The sources are specific. She emerged from Vishnu's 11th sense, which is often identified as the mind, manas, or the intellect, buddhi.
So she's basically the personification of Vishnu's own awakened consciousness.
She is the goddess Ekadashi Devi. She embodies the total accumulated power of Vishnu's penance, Stapasya. When Mira sees her, he actually pauses just for a moment, mesmerized by her beauty.
Which gives her an opening.
And she challenges him to a duel. Their fight is instantaneous and overwhelming. She swiftly beheads Mira, vanquishing the great cosmic threat and saving the universe.
So Vishnu wakes up to find his opponent slain and the universe safe. That is quite a display of divine self-defense.
It is, and Vishnu is immensely pleased. He names her Ekadashi, the personification of the 11th day, and he grants her any boon she wishes.
And her request establishes the core principle of the day.
Exactly. She asks that anyone who observes a sincere fast on her day be immediately cleansed of their greatest sins and be granted spiritual liberation, moksha. And this is why the Ekadashi fast is considered the ultimate spiritual shortcut for purification.
That sets a monumental stage for the power of this day. So now let's talk about the specific ingredient that anchors this fast. Till, the sesame seed. It's not just some arbitrary crop. We learned its status is unique because of its mythical origin.
Its status is almost sacred in itself. You see, if Ekadashi originated from the sweat of Vishnu's penance, the sesame seed has an even more intimate connection to the Lord's physical form.
Really? How so?
The Garuda Purana confirms it. Sesame seeds are said to have originated directly from the sweat of Lord Vishnu's body.
Wow. That immediately gives it this immense ritual purity, much more than any other grain or legume.
Precisely. This purity is why till is essential in almost all Hindu rituals that are aimed at purification, especially the ones related to ancestors and fire offerings. And we see its historical depth backed up by archaeological and textual evidence going back to 3000 BCE.
It's documented in the Indus Valley civilization.
And mentioned repeatedly in ancient Vedic and Tamil texts, the Atharva Veda, the Ajur Veda, Sangam literature. It's one of the 3 ancient Indian staples, along with cotton and sugarcane.
The fact that it's so historically and geographically ubiquitous really underscores why it holds this deep sacred status.
And this sacred status might even explain a very famous cross-cultural reference. We touched on the theory that the phrase open sesame from the story of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves might be rooted here.
That's a fascinating thought. How does a spiritual seed become a password for a robber's cave?
Well, the theory suggests that the phrase links the seed till to a kind of spiritual password, a key to accessing the divine or a secret realm.
I see.
So in the context of Shattila Ekadashi, the act of using these 6 sesame seeds is essentially the key, the open sesame, that unlocks the door to a higher spiritual destiny and to liberation. It transforms a simple command into this profound metaphor for unlocking your own spiritual potential.
I love that idea. The most famous password in literature might just be a simplified echo of a really sophisticated spiritual concept.
And we do have to clarify the usage based on color, because this dictates which seeds are appropriate for which ritual on January 14th.
And the color distinction is very strict, isn't it?
Extremely strict. Black sesame seeds are traditionally associated with death, with fate, with the planet Saturn, Shani-Dev, and Yama, the god of death. For this reason, black seeds are reserved almost exclusively for ancestral rituals.
Like tarpon.
Exactly, the offering of watered ancestors, and for specific fire offerings for propitiation. Using them in charity or for eating would be seen as very inappropriate.
And the white and brown seeds.
The white or brown sesame seeds were the ones designated for consumption, tilbhojan, for charity, tilban, and for offerings to the main deities, Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi. They represent purity and abundance. The distinction really reflects a ritualistic understanding that different colors of the same ingredient possess distinct energetic or planetary properties.
Making the choice paramount for the correct performance of the ritual.
Absolutely.
You mentioned tarpon and Prayagraj. For listeners, let's slow down and define those specific terms because they are so central to the cleansing element of the Shattila ritual.
Certainly. Tarpon is the ritual offering of water, usually mixed with sesame seeds, to the ancestors or Petrus. It's a rite that's performed to satisfy the needs of the departed souls and ensure they find peace in the higher realms. It's an act of acknowledging your lineage and fulfilling your duty to those who came before you.
And what happens if that duty isn't fulfilled? We hear the term Prayagraj a lot.
Prayagraj translates literally to ancestral fault or spiritual debt incurred through the ancestors. It's the belief that if these ancestral rituals are neglected, or if the ancestors have unresolved issues or dissatisfaction, that karmic debt can manifest as misfortune or chronic problems or just obstacles in the lives of their descendants.
So when we're talking about Shattila Ekadashi, part of the process is actively neutralizing this inherited spiritual debt. It's not just about cleaning your own slate, but the slate of your entire family line.
Exactly. The inclusion of Til Tarpon in the 6 rituals means this day is designed not just for personal spiritual advancement, but for familial and ancestral peace as well. It's a very holistic view of karma that extends far beyond the individual.
Okay, that brings us to the core mechanism of the day. Shattila, meaning 6 sesame seeds. And our sources make it really clear that for true purification, you have to perform all 6 ritualistic uses of the seed, not just 1 or 2. This is the heart of the deep dive, the Shattila Vidi.
This is where we shift from the mythological grounding to the practical spiritual engineering of the day. The tradition sees the human being as having 6 layers. The physical body, the subtle energy body, the mind, the intellect, your karmic account, and your ancestral lineage.
And the 6 acts of using Til are designed to cleanse and purify each of those layers.
Simultaneously, it's not just a list, it's a systematic, step-by-step process of purification.
Let's delve into the metaphor behind each of the 6 acts, starting with number 1, Til Snan.
Snan is the act of bathing with sesame seeds mixed into the water, so on the surface it's just physical cleansing. But metaphorically, it's seen as a conscious rebirth.
How so?
Because Til is born of Vishnu's sweat, the water that's infused with its essence is believed to purify the most subtle aspects of your being, your aura, your energy field, and the accumulated negative energy that clings to the body.
So you're not just washing off dirt, you're washing off this invisible spiritual residue, consciously preparing the body to enter this sacred day.
Precisely. It's an act of purification that signals a complete break from the contamination of the previous day, and it aligns the physical self with the high spiritual vibration needed for the fast.
Okay, moving to the second act, Til Uptan, applying a paste to the body. This one sounds distinctly humble.
It is, and it's deeply symbolic of dissolving the ego. Til Uptan involves grinding the seeds into a paste and applying it to your skin before the main bathing ritual. You know, we often walk through life with a hard exterior, our ego, our pride, our stubbornness.
We hold on to our perceived identities, our accomplishments, and that can be a thick shell to penetrate.
Exactly. So the act of applying the soft paste and then rubbing it away, it represents a physical gesture of softening that exterior. It symbolizes humility, the dissolution of that hard shell ego, making you a more receptive vessel for divine grace and guidance.
You're symbolically scrubbing away your pride before you even try to commune with the divine.
That's it, a powerful internal practice hidden in a seemingly simple external act.
Number 3 takes us out of the bathroom and into the sacred space. Til Havan, the fire offering.
Havan or Homa is the ritual sacrifice into the sacred fire, which acts as a purifying go-between. Offering sesame seeds into the fire while you're chanting mantras like the Purusha Sukta Vedic hymn about the cosmic man, or continuously chanting Vishnu's names like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, it all serves a very specific purpose.
And that purpose is the surrender of internal conflict, which is a huge part of any spiritual practice.
It is the surrender of desire. The fire represents the transformative power of Vishnu, and it consumes negative karma. We all carry this heat of unfulfilled desires, of anger, of anxiety. As the seeds are offered into the fire, they symbolize those burdens, those conflicts, the material attachments that the devotee is actively giving up to the divine fire for transmutation. It's an act of letting go through combustion.
Our sources also specified that this fire offering has to include 3 specific fruits. Why the specificity?
These accompanying offerings are dedicated to Lord Janardana, which is another name for Vishnu, and they are pumpkin, coconut, and guava. They're chosen specifically for their sattvic quality.
Could you just elaborate on what sattvic quality means for our listeners?
Sure. In Ayurvedic and Hindu philosophy, sattva represents the quality of purity, balance, and clarity. So foods that are categorized as sattvic are believed to promote mental clarity, tranquility, and inner peace. all of which are essential for maintaining the high spiritual focus you need during the fast.
So by offering these pure, non-stimulating fruits, you're ensuring the Havan is done with the highest possible spiritual intention.
Exactly. And if you can't get those specific fruits, a betel nut is accepted as a symbolic, pure substitute.
That level of detail really shows the precision involved. Okay, moving to number 4, we're back to the ancestral connection. Til Tarpan. We already defined Tarpan and Prayagraj. Why is this act so crucial on Shattila Ekadashi?
Because the til seed, born of Vishnu's body, carries this immense power to provide relief to souls. And performing Til Tarpan on a highly meritorious day like this amplifies its effect exponentially. It's the formal act of offering water mixed with sesame seeds to the Pitras, the departed ancestors, to resolve that Prayagraj.
Which suggests that your own spiritual success is directly tied to the peace of your ancestors.
It absolutely is. Performing Tarpan ensures the ancestral line is honored, resolving any karmic dissatisfaction. If the ancestors are at peace, they send blessings. If they're restless, that restlessness can manifest as obstacles in the present generation. The specific mantra used during this offering, Tilandadami Pithyasvadanama, is a direct plea for their peace.
Okay, number 5 is the physical consumption, the permitted nourishment during the fast. Til Bhojan.
Right. Since many people can't observe a complete waterless fast, they observe what's called falahar, a fast relying only on fruits and permitted foods. So, Til Bhojan is the act of consuming food that's prepared with sesame seeds, like the famous Tiladu sweets or elubella.
And this serves as more than just physical sustenance, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's the internal integration of the sacred essence. By consuming the sesame, which originated from Vishnu's body, the devotee is basically nourishing their soul. It ensures that the spiritual potency of the seed is integrated internally, sustaining the commitment and focus of the fast.
You're eating divine essence, not just calories.
That's a perfect way to put it.
And finally, the culminating, most critical act. Number 6, Til Dawn, or charity. The one, if you missed it, it nullifies the entire effort.
This is the non-negotiable step. Til Dawn is the outward expression of all that inward discipline. It involves donating sesame seeds or sesame-based food, warm clothing, since this falls in the cold month of Magha or grains, to the needy, to guests, or to Brahmins.
And the spiritual merit promised here is almost staggering in its scale.
It is, and it's designed to motivate the maximum level of generosity. Our sources state that by performing this charity sincerely, the devotee earns 1,000 years of peace and prosperity in the celestial realms for every single seed donated.
1,000 years for every seed.
This enormous reward really underscores the philosophical shift that Shattila Ekadashi demands. Inward spiritual practice is merely preparation for the essential act of selfless outward giving.
And the importance of Til Dawn is driven home not just by this promise of massive merit, but by the profound cautionary tale associated with this day, the Vrat Katha. It's the story of a devotee who did everything right, except for the one thing that truly mattered.
This legend, which Lord Krishna himself is said to have narrated to the sage Narada Muni, is the moral anchor of Shattila Ekadashi. It just strips away the notion that discipline alone is enough for spiritual liberation.
So who is the story about?
It centers on a devout Brahmin woman who was a paragon of austerity. I mean, she observed every single Ekadashi fast. She performed all the required penances, and she dedicated her life entirely to Lord Vishnu's worship.
So she had the inward discipline perfectly mastered. What was the flaw? Where was the spiritual crack?
Her deficiency was profound empathy, or what you might call outward compassion. Our sources emphasize that despite her immense devotion and her personal wealth, she was fundamentally miserly. She adamantly refused to donate food or wealth or even meager alms to the poor or the needy or to Brahmins.
So incredibly high discipline, but zero generosity.
Zero. Her spiritual practice was entirely self-centered, aimed only at accumulating personal merit for herself.
And Lord Krishna, recognizing this flaw, decides to test the sincerity of her practice directly.
He disguises himself. Lord Krishna arrives at her door in the form of an impoverished, famished beggar asking for alms. The woman, annoyed by the interruption to her rigorous spiritual schedule and just showing her complete lack of generosity, she doesn't offer a single grain of food or a coin.
And what she offers instead is the central, really heartbreaking image of this whole story.
It is. Instead of compassion, she scoops up a crude, dry lump of clay or mud from the ground nearby and just rudely drops it into the beggar lord's bowl, essentially dismissing him with contempt.
And Krishna?
Lord Krishna, still in disguise, simply accepts the offering, blesses her, and leaves.
That image, the devout worshiper offering mud to the divine presence, is so stark. So what was the inevitable karmic consequence when her life of rigorous penance finally ended?
Well, because of her rigorous devotion and her observance of the fast, she did ascend to the celestial realms. She did earn a place in heaven. She was granted a beautiful, magnificent palace, but that palace was completely and utterly barren. It was cold, dark, it had no furnishings, and most critically, it was devoid of any food, grains, gold, or comfort. The only thing inside this ethereal mansion was the hard, dry lump of mud she had offered as charity on her.
Her spiritual reward was a perfect reflection of her charitable record. She focused only on receiving merit, so her reward was empty.
Precisely. Her self-imposed austerity got her the structure, the palace. But her lack of compassion meant she couldn't furnish it with life, or warmth, or true abundance. So she prayed desperately to Lord Vishnu, demanding to know why her years of perfect discipline had resulted in such a barren reward.
And Vishnu delivered the ultimate moral lesson.
He appeared and explained the consequence. You received a palace because you were genuinely devoted to me. But since you only gave a lump of mud as charity on earth, your home here in heaven reflects that donation. It is filled with nothing but that same mud.
Wow.
And then he gave her the solution, but with a strict condition.
What was the solution?
He told her to be patient and wait. She was not to open her door or speak to anyone until the celestial wives, the devotees, visited her. From them, he said, she would learn the complete secret significance of the Shattila Ekadashi Vrat.
So she needed the ritualistic knowledge to correct this deep moral flaw.
She did. Following his advice, she learned the full Shattila Vidi from the devotees. She then performed the entire set of rituals with sincere faith, making sure her focus was heavily weighted toward the donation, the till dawn of sesame seeds and food to others.
And the transformation was immediate.
The transformation was instantaneous and total. The moment she completed the 6 rituals, her barren, mud-filled palace instantly transformed. It became filled with every kind of comfort: grains, gold, jewels, warmth, immense wealth. And what's more, her own spiritual body was transformed into a supremely beautiful form, suitable for dwelling in the highest heavenly realms.
That is a profound transformation. It really proves that the spiritual path needs 2 legs: discipline and charity.
The story concludes with that fundamental moral imperative. Fasting and penance without charity are spiritually incomplete and futile. Shattila Ekadashi provides the framework to achieve that perfect balance. The inward spiritual discipline of the fast must be complemented by outward compassion, by generosity, and by the selfless giving of the seed. It's a powerful warning against using religion for selfish gain.
This observance is clearly rooted in some rigorous discipline, and the rules governing the fast itself, the Vrat Vidi, are exceptionally precise. So let's cover what you have to avoid and what is permitted, and then look at the astonishing scientific basis for these ancient rules.
The spiritual objective of the Ekadashi fast is not just abstinence. It's to give the digestive system a complete rest, which allows all the body's energy to be redirected toward mental clarity and spiritual contemplation.
And to maximize the spiritual merit, the punya, the diet has to be strictly sattvic.
It does, and sattvic refers to foods that are pure, light, and promote clarity and mental balance. The rules strictly prohibit all tamasic foods, which are dull and heavy, and rajasic foods, which are stimulating or overly passionate because they distract the mind from meditation.
So what's off the table on Shattila Ekadashi?
The prohibitions are quite broad. They mandate avoiding all types of standard grains: rice, wheat, oats, corn, because they're energy intensive and are seen as the body's primary fuel. Furthermore, all pulses and legumes, lentils, beans, chickpeas are strictly prohibited.
What about spices?
Certain strong, stimulating spices like asafoetida, mustard seeds, and even turmeric are avoided. They're considered too stimulating or rajasic. And critically, regular sea salt is forbidden. Devotees must only use rock salt, known as senta namak.
And what sustains the body during this demanding fast? What are the permitted Falahara options?
Well, if the devotee can't observe the complete waterless fast, the permitted sattvic foods include all fresh fruits, certain vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes, and all dairy products: milk, yogurt, and paneer.
Nuts and seeds are okay.
Nuts and seeds are allowed. And crucially, special fasting flours are permitted substitutes for regular grains.
Let's make sure we translate those special flours for our listeners.
Absolutely. These are flours that are not derived from grains and are considered non-cereal substitutes. They include buckwheat, which is kutu, water chestnut flour, or singahara, and refined tapioca pearls, sabudana. These permitted foods provide the necessary sustenance without activating the heavy digestive load that rice and wheat carry.
thereby maintaining the clarity of the mind.
Exactly.
Now, here is where this deep dive really transcends ritual and needs modern research. The decree to fast precisely on the 11th lunar day seems surprisingly aligned with cutting-edge longevity science.
This is what's fascinating, the astronomical alignment. Ekadashi occurs when the moon is at very precise angular distances from the sun, specifically 120 to 132 degrees elongation during the waxing phase, or 300 to 312 during the waning phase, which Shattila Ekadashi falls under.
Okay, what does that mean?
Modern environmental physics suggests that at these precise points in the lunar cycle, the Earth experiences the lowest atmospheric pressure.
So the atmosphere itself is literally lighter. How does low atmospheric pressure relate to human physiology?
It minimizes the strain on the human body, particularly the digestive system and the circulatory system. But the most significant connection is the biological mechanism it activates, autophagy.
Autophagy, the cellular self-cleaning process that has received so much attention in recent years.
Exactly. Autophagy literally means self-eating. Fasting, especially timed fasting, triggers your cells to break down damaged proteins, cleanse misfolded organelles, and recycle cellular components. This process is directly linked to metabolic health, disease resistance, and enhanced longevity.
And this is the research that was recognized with the Nobel Prize.
The Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, yes. So, the religious decree to fast precisely on the 11th lunar day, the lowest pressure day, inadvertently aligns with the optimal period for cellular repair and detoxification.
It's a remarkable synergy.
It is. By resting the gut, the body switches from using glucose as its primary fuel to burning fat, a metabolic state known as ketosis. And that state is scientifically proven to enhance mental clarity and focus. The ancient seers, through observational astronomy, seem to know instinctively the optimal temporal window for maximizing the body's detoxification mechanisms.
So it's a holistic system designed to detoxify the spirit through charity and detoxify the body through timed biological efficiency. But the merit of the fast hinges entirely on one final, incredibly precise temporal rule: the correct timing of breaking the fast, or parana. We have to talk about avoiding harivasara.
This is the iron rule. All the spiritual merit, all the punya accumulated through the 24-hour fast can be instantly nullified if the fast is broken incorrectly. Parana is the sacred act of breaking the fast, and it must occur the following day, Dwadashi, the 12th lunar day, after sunrise.
But the real danger zone is harivasara. What is it, and why must it be avoided?
Harivasara means the period of Lord Hari, or Vishnu. It's mathematically defined as the first 1/4 25% duration of the Dwadashi Tithi.
And it's a prohibited spiritual window.
It is. The belief is that breaking the fast during this transition period disrespects the sanctity of the vow and actively causes spiritual harm, nullifying all the merit you just accumulated. The stakes are immense. Precision isn't optional, it's required.
So if you break the fast too early, while harivasara is still in effect, the whole thing is ruined. We have to look at the specific 2026 timings to understand just how narrow this window can be.
For this Sat-Tila Ekadashi, the Dwadashi Tithi begins on January 14th at 5:52 p.m. This means the harivasara period ends around 8:45 a.m. on Thursday, January 15th. The permissible parana window then begins immediately after harivasara concludes.
So that's a very narrow window of opportunity for millions of people.
It is. It demands meticulous attention to the local sunrise and the published almanac timings. You can't break it before harivasara ends, and you can't break it too late if Dwadashi ends early. The complexity ensures that the devotee remains focused not just on the fast itself, but on the disciplined conclusion of the spiritual exercise. It's the final act of honor toward the vow.
We've spent so much time on the micro-ritual of the single seed. So now let's zoom out to the massive, staggering physical context of January 2026. Sat-Tila Ekadashi falls squarely within the biggest annual Hindu pilgrimage, the Prayagraj Magh Mela.
This is where the sheer scale of devotion becomes a logistical marvel. The Magh Mela is not a short festival. It's a 45-day pilgrimage held at the sacred Triveni Sangam in Prayagraj, the confluence of the Ganga, the Yamuna, and the subterranean mythical Saraswati rivers.
And the entire period is considered the most sacred time for ritual bathing.
The most sacred time. And the numbers, they're almost impossible to visualize. The Mela administration is expecting an unbelievable 15 crore devotees.
150 million people.
150 million people to attend the Mela in 2026.
That volume of pilgrims transforms the entire region into a temporary, self-sufficient city built on the riverbanks.
A city with its own hospitals, police stations, power grids, sanitation infrastructure, everything. And Sat-Tila Ekadashi is confirmed as one of the 6 most powerful key ritual bathing days. The Snayans during this period, alongside Makar Sankranti, Mauni Amavasya, and the later Jaya Ekadashi.
The power of performing that ritual bath at the confluence on a day of such heightened spiritual significance is the central driving force for this massive convergence. Shattila Ekadashi, especially coinciding with Makar Sankranti, must be a major crowd puller.
A huge one. And it demands an organizational response that is, it's military in its precision. Our sources provide incredible detail on how the Indian Railways and the local traffic administration coordinate this influx, because moving 150 million people requires systems that usually handle small countries.
Let's focus on the railway logistics first.
Okay. The Indian Railways, specifically the Northeastern Railway, or NER, dedicates significant resources to this event. They operate 6 pairs of special, unreserved trains purely for the pilgrims, running via key routes like Varanasi.
And these are scheduled around the peak bathing dates.
Meticulously scheduled. For example, they'll run extra trains specifically on January 3rd and 4th, and critically on January 15th and 16th to accommodate the crowds for both Makar Sankranti and Shattila Ekadashi.
And we see these specific named routes designed entirely to move pilgrims, which shows the level of specialization required.
Exactly. Routes like the Chapar-Juzi Unreserved Special and the Gorakhpur Prayagraj Ramba Special are operating enhanced services around the clock. The entire railway network surrounding Prayagraj temporarily shifts its focus from standard passenger or cargo transport to pilgrim transport.
Beyond the railways, the road traffic management must just be a nightmare. Managing the sheer volume of vehicles coming from surrounding districts and states must require a complete overhaul of the regional highway system.
The traffic management is the most intricate piece of the puzzle. It involves these detailed inter-district traffic diversion plans to reroute heavy commercial and passenger traffic around Prayagraj city limits entirely.
To prevent congestion near the Mela grounds.
Exactly. This ensures the access roads for the millions of pilgrims on foot or in lighter vehicles can remain clear.
Can you give us a clear picture of how they execute a major diversion like that?
Sure. Let's consider heavy vehicles traveling from Kanpur toward Prayagraj. Instead of being allowed to approach the city, that traffic is diverted far earlier at Kokraz, which is in the adjacent Kaushambi district. It's routed onto a dedicated bypass road that sends it straight toward Varanasi via Handia.
So it bypasses the entire urban core and the Mela area of Prayagraj.
Completely. And the return traffic follows the exact same bypass structure. They're essentially creating a temporary perimeter around the city. Similarly, heavy traffic coming from the southern side, from Rewa, aiming for Varanasi, that gets diverted through the Mangawan police station area, then via Hanumana and Mirzapur. The whole purpose is to completely bypass the area of the Triveni Sangam,
allowing the faith-driven convergence to happen safely without being crippled by commercial traffic.
That's the goal. And this dedication to logistical detail demonstrates the high priority of this sacred event. The societal impact is so profound that it actually overrides other essential civic functions.
What do you mean by that?
That's the crucial final point from our sources. The sheer size of the Mela and the resulting traffic restrictions during the peak bathing days in January 2026 led the Uttar Pradesh Public Service Commission, the UPPSC, to take an extraordinary step.
What do?
They canceled their recruitment exams scheduled for that month.
Canceling state-level exams. That's a huge logistical decision.
It is. And the decision was made explicitly to prevent massive inconvenience and disruption to the candidates who would otherwise be unable to travel effectively amid the severe traffic diversions, the railway congestion, and the road closures. It illustrates that during this sacred month, the demands of the spiritual calendar temporarily dictate the temporal, the organizational, and even the educational structure of the entire region.
The needs of the faithful temporarily trump bureaucratic necessities.
That's it, exactly. #outrek out.
What an incredible journey this deep dive has been. We started with a single sesame seed, and we've ended up grappling with the logistics of a temporary city built for 150 million people. The essential takeaway for me is this synergy between the micro and the macro. We learned about the highly systematic purification process symbolized by the sixfold use of sesame, cleansing the subtle body, dissolving the ego, surrendering internal conflicts, and securing ancestral peace.
And tying all of that inward discipline to the profound moral lesson in the Vrat Katha, that cautionary tale of the Brahmin woman who prioritized her own self-merit over empathy, offering only mud to the divine beggar. is just a stark, timeless reminder.
A reminder that personal penance and austerity, however rigorously you follow them, are spiritually bankrupt if they're not balanced by the outward, selfless act of charity of till dame.
The giving of the seed is the absolute completion of the vow.
And we bridge the gap between tradition and modernity. We saw the incredible, necessary precision of the timing, the Ekadashi coinciding with Makar Sankranti, and the absolute need to adhere to the strict prohibition of the Harivisara period during Purana.
And that timing, rooted in astronomical observation via lunar elongation, is validated by modern longevity research focused on metabolic optimization and autophagy.
Cellular self-cleaning.
It is. Shattila Ekadashi is truly a complex, holistic operating system for the entire human experience. It merges spiritual cleansing, ethical behavior, precise astronomical timing, and biological optimization. It serves as powerful evidence that ancient traditions often contain layers of sophisticated knowledge about the human body and mind that remain deeply relevant today.
It's a complete system designed to align the devotee's body, mind, and soul with the highest principles of selfless giving. So what does this all mean for you, the learner? We've seen that in the pursuit of spiritual or personal improvement, dedication has to be matched by compassion. The woman who offered clay to Krishna had the time and the wealth to offer food, but she chose to minimize the effort because her focus was entirely internal. I want to leave you with this final thought. What are the modern-day equivalents of that mud offering we make? When we prioritize our own self-improvement, our strict adherence to personal routines, or our inner discipline, whether that's a diet, a productivity goal, or meditation, do we sometimes minimize or dismiss the practical, tangible needs of others, thinking that our inward efforts are enough? How often do we offer clay when we have grain available? It's a question of balance and profound lesson in true external compassion, something worth contemplating until our next deep dive.